What's up, you guys? Happy Easter. My Secret Teachings of Jesus episode last night uploaded late, and then somehow it got set to private. So once it did finally upload, I didn't realize that it wasn't visible to the public. So it's up now. I really liked the episode last night. I thought it was really great. It kind of tied into a lot of the other stuff that we've been talking about recently, which was fun. So check it out. It's a goodie. We are here tonight for our weekly energy oracle forecast, which is basically like our spiritual weather report for the week, general conditions we will find ourselves in. And we're still in the last few days. We're kind of in the middle of Passover. So, let my people go. This is warning us about the power of our words and asking us to maintain awareness of the fact that we have the power of life or death in our tongue. We can speak blessings over ourselves, or we can speak curses. And I was just listening to the April 2026 prediction series, which, by the way, I haven't really talked about it in a while, but you guys, it's really worth it. It's not just a New Year's kind of thing. This is literally like a workshop for you and your growth that's customized for each month as we go through the year. And if you want to just watch the reading, you can watch the reading. If you want to go deeper, there are journal prompts under the videos. I have done some of the questions for some of the videos myself, and they provided me a lot of clarity. And the only reason I haven't done the questions for the others is because I've just been trying to keep up with making content, working, and then there was the snowpocalypse that was just it was really, everything got thrown off during that. And then I did some deep cleaning preparing for Passover. And that kind of took several weeks to just really turn the house inside out. I've been here for many years and hadn't done that level of cleaning. And so that was fun, but I really wanted to get more into the questions, but I will say this is that I think the questions, the quality of the wisdom in these readings and in the questions is the kind of work that you can do that is good to just touch base with at any time. They're questions that will help you discover things about yourself and transform things about yourself and awaken things within yourself at any time. So they're not just relevant to the month that they're in. They're evergreen. They're always relevant. So I love the prediction series. Just got finished with April, and I was reminded about something that Rav Michael Berg said during the Rosh Hashanah consciousness lectures. And he was kind of giving us a heads up that this year has the numerical value of the word judgment in Hebrew. And so the takeaway from that is that this year can have a very binary quality. Whereas our consciousness will inform our reality. If we're seeing things as being a blessing, then we'll be blessed. And then if we see things as being a curse, we'll be cursed. And so it feels triggering, I think, during these times when we are trying to be honest about taking in the reality of the situation we're in and not have on blinders, not be delusional or put our heads in the sand, but still be able to practice grounded faith and certainty where we see the reality that we're in. We're not turning a blind eye. We're not in denial about it, but we're able to trust that we can be protected and provided for through these times, even within the conditions that we're living in. And so I know that I struggle with this myself just expressing the feelings I have about things, just to purge the vessel, but then trying not to, snowball into speaking curses on myself. And so actually the other day I was preparing to go to work Saturday night, and I had a couple of extra days off this week. So I only had 3 shifts, and I had taken off for the holidays. And I remember saying as I was getting ready for work, before I went to work, I was like, God, it would be really nice. I'll accept whatever fate I have tonight, but it would be nice if we have a full party, like a wedding party or something that buys out TBC, the back corner of the restaurant, and I can be on it with a couple of people and make like about this much money. And that is exactly what I walked into. I walked in, I checked the floor plan. I was in that room on a wedding with the people I imagined that I'd be on the party with, and we all made exactly the same, the money that I was like, man, it'd be nice if we could somehow pull this off. It'd be a miracle. Miracles happen, right? So speaking blessings onto ourselves, right? Speaking blessing, and then speaking truth, right? Not denying our truth, but it was prophets like John the Baptist who spoke truth to power, and sometimes those were very heavy-handed truths that needed to be spoken. But you have to, discern that for yourself. And, sometimes God leads us to speak up and to use our voice in certain moments. But then other moments we have to realize like, oh, is this my ego wanting to say this? Is this something that I'm wanting to say because it will gratify me and give me an instant hit of energy? But is it my own personality behind this, or is it my soul leading me to say this? So discerning, but being mindful about the power of our words, and that we are, if we really aligned ourselves and our consciousness was in a pure state of love and had a complete absence of fear, then like we could be like Jesus and speak things into being. And because that's what we were given. We were given the ability of speech. In our lesson on the Gospel of Thomas last night, we talked about the 4 living kingdoms and the fact that there is a mineral kingdom, there's a plant kingdom, there's an animal kingdom, and then the human kingdom isn't called the human kingdom. We're called the speaking kingdom, because this is the attribute that we share with the Creator that the other kingdoms do not have. We have the ability to be able to take a thought and translate that into a physical reality through our words. I can have an idea in my mind, I can visualize that idea, and then I can articulate what I am thinking in my mind, bringing something in from nothing. And that power to speak life and creation is within us. We can speak blessings that come forth. We can call these things and call in miracles, but other things, our heart and our soul and our mind and our strength have to be aligned in that. It's not that we want to, if we go around and just try to like take everything we want, have our way in life, but when we really align ourselves with God's will, right? I said beforehand, I'll whatever you will for me, like whatever's mine, I want it, but it would be nice if kind of thing. And it happened, right? So be aware that, we do have the power to speak life into things and to speak things into being. If we can get the other things about our consciousness and our energy and our soul and our heart and our mind and strength into alignment. All right. Ooh, okay. Lots of things happening, guys. Lots of things. Very exciting. Very exciting. Let's see if we had I saw a card flip over, but it might have flipped right back over, or it might have been our flippy flop that came right out. Well, we have ooh, it's like, don't fall behind the couch. We have embrace, and this card has been with us recently a bunch. I don't know if it was just in my own personal reading for the week, this past week and the week before, but I feel like it's been our collective message that to embrace the moment that we're in, to embrace the time that we're in. Sometimes it makes me feel like violent rage when people are like, well, we were born to live in the times we live in, you know, we were made to be able to endure these times. And that is true. It is true. We wouldn't have been born in the times that we're in if we weren't here for a purpose and a reason. And it's infuriating sometimes to hear that, because sometimes when people say it, it feels like they're bypassing the truth. They're not taking in, you know, what's happening, or they're in, you know, a bit of denial, or, you know, I think when spiritual bypassing happens, it's like skipping over the honesty of the situation. It would feel more honest to say, like, yes, it feels like these times are crushing and we are up against so many challenges, but God will see us through it. And, you know, when one of us is weak, we can lift the other up, but together we can make it through. And through our faith and through our steadfastness and our perseverance, we will make it through with the help of God. But it's not to deny everything that's going on and just skip over it and just be like, all right, well, it is what it is. It's all meant to be, you know, because it feels irresponsible. You know, it feels like it's like, you know, it's like sometimes people don't remember that we are the stewards of the garden, and it doesn't absolve us from the responsibility of the things that we have to navigate and put our hands to on this earth, right? It feels so good when you can meet people who are believers, who have faith, but they also put that faith into their hands to do good, to be the change, to be the good influence, the influence of healing and solution in the world. Not the people who are just like, well, it's the end time, so I'm jumping in and making it, you know, just contributing to all the things that make it worse, or ignoring the things that are happening and just chalking it up to, well, I guess this is the way it is in the end times. It's like, that is so infuriating to me. So when I say, like, we have to embrace the moment that we're in now, or embrace the challenges that we are faced with, it's not ignoring the fury that boils within us, okay? I'm not dismissing that. I'm not looking past that. I'm seeing what we're in, you know? Even that there's, you know, some of the people that I work with are a little bit difficult sometimes. You know, they are, they kind of are caricatures of annoyance that put in your way, in your path, and you're like, oh, why? You're a thorn in my shoe. But it's like, that is what I mean. Like, you know, working on the event that I was the other night, I was put with someone who, you know, he's this type that kind of like, you know, drags his feet and lets other people do the work. And he knows it, and people call him out on it constantly, and he's shameless about it. But it's like, I had to embrace, like, okay, having to work with this fucker and get along with him and love him anyway, and keep him in my prayers and wish good things for him, even though sometimes we want to pound him, you know. It's like embracing those moments where you are infuriated, and it's like, okay, this is, why is this in my movie? Why are characters like this constantly brought into my movie? How do I navigate this properly? What is God asking of me in this situation? Is it to somehow find a balance between setting boundaries but also having patience and endurance and loving someone anyway, even though they're infuriating? You know, it's easier to practice on someone that is sort of like a casual acquaintance. It's much harder when it is like someone closer to you, like a parent, you know, and I struggle with this too, right? You know, especially with my dad, I have a really hard time knowing what the ask is for me. How do I navigate that properly? Showing love to myself, and then, you know, handling the relationship, and like, just, it's accepting it and embracing it, but also being honest about it and protecting myself from the bulldozing, of it. It's just like, how do you do this? It's sometimes it's really hard to do. And so even just to ask the Holy Spirit, can you just help me even to begin to even see this differently? Can you change my consciousness? Can you give me the eyes that God would see this through? How would Christ approach this? How would Jesus see this situation, and how would Jesus handle it? I don't know, but could you help me? I'm willing. I don't feel it. I don't feel enthusiastic about it, but I see this as an assignment. I don't know how to approach this problem. Can you help me? Can you lift me through it? Because even the most annoying, painful moments are opportunities for us to reveal even greater light and become even more elevated as a soul on this earth. And it's not just for some timeshare in the netherworlds and the afterlife. It's like, this will change your day-to-day experience on earth. And this is how we unlock our ability to heal other people and to heal ourselves, and to, channel what would be, considered miracles, in through our lives, and channel miracles that help our community and make change and be a person who has a positive influence and a positive effect on others. There was this book that I bought at one point and I never read it, but it's called the Brain Dead Megaphone, I think. And it's kind of like a book about media. It's like a sociology study about media and, its effect on people. And I remember the thesis of the book. Like, I read part of the book, or I started to read it, and I read the thesis about it. But it was generally saying that it's not the smartest person in the room, or even the person who's right, that has the most influence. It's usually the loudest and most persistent and most aggressive voices that penetrate people's consciousness and end up having the greatest influence. And you can see that today. The people, these influencers that are, on these podcasts and have these accounts that have got the attention of people, and they're brainwashing people and leading people into these ideologies. They're not right. They're not smart. They're not wise. A lot of them are ignorant and hateful with nothing to really back up their message, other than the fact that some interest group is paying them to be a loud voice. And they know if they're persistent enough and aggressive enough and loud enough, they're going to convince people. And that's what they are. When you really take off the veil and the smoke and mirrors are gone, and you start unpacking this and you start seeing, okay, when you read things like that point these things out, you're like, oh, that's totally true. Then you can dismantle it and you're like, oh, wow, it's so easy. People are so impressionable, right? So to embrace, I think, the situation that we're in sometimes just looks like, okay, I'm going to be present with this moment, and I'm just going to accept that this is the reality that I'm being faced with right now. And this is the escape room that I have to navigate. I have to solve this mystery. I have to solve this problem. I can't fight the reality I'm in. If I resist the reality I'm in, I'm not proactively solving it and moving on to the next step, the next phase. So first, to deal with something, you have to first start by accepting it. You don't have to love it, but embrace the situation you're in means meeting the situation you're in, right? If I have laundry mountain piling up, the only way that I'm going to get on top of that chore is if I embrace it, right? I see that the laundry needs to get done. I see that the laundry is something that needs to get done every other day, every couple of days. So if I embrace that chore and just take it on and stop avoiding it, then I stay on top of it and my life doesn't start becoming a mountain of chaos, right? But we all know this. We've all had laundry mountain. We probably all have some form of laundry mountain now. And doesn't it sit there and just add this level of element of dread and stress in your mind? And it's like, then it becomes this mountain that you don't want to face. And you're like, oh my gosh, like if I could just set a timer for an hour, this thing would be off my plate. But for some reason, it seems so insurmountable and like the worst torture on earth to just throw the clothes on the bed and start folding, right? It's never the actual laundry part that's the hard part. It's the folding, the putting away, the putting it on hangers. And you know what gets me really excited and to embrace Laundry Mountain? A fresh bunch of hangers. Nothing is more frustrating than when you know, like, I don't even have enough hangers to hang everything up, right? So just go get the hangers. You'll feel good about it. You'll be excited to use the new hangers, right? Embrace it. Taxes. I need to do my taxes. I even have a tax return coming probably, but I haven't embraced the moment to sit down and do it, right? And it's not that I have to love it. No one loves sitting down and doing their taxes. It's boring. Like the wording is so dry. Everything's confusing. I never know if I'm answering things right. I go into catastrophizing in my mind. I'm like, oh, this is going to end in my ultimate demise. But, you know, once I get through it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's done. It's off my plate. I feel like $1 million afterwards. So accepting that what we're in, like just deciding this is the elephant I have been given to eat, and I'm going to take this one bite at a time. And this is how we're going to get through this, one bite at a time. Society is not getting any easier. It's not getting any brighter or richer. You know, they've taken the cocoa powder out of the chocolate. Like the towels don't absorb anymore. You know, it's like everything that we, you know, it's like everywhere we turn, things are just getting shittier and worse. So it's like, okay, we've got to embrace this and either deal with it or, you know, figure out another way, engineer something better. But we can't run away and meet the problem head on. You know, we've got to face it to solve it. I felt another card felt like it flipped in the deck here, but maybe it just flattened right back down. Well, we will keep going. Let's keep going. All right. What? Oh, Dharma. Oh my gosh. It's like this is the moment that we were brought to for a reason. Part of our purpose is in, sorry, belch. Part of our purpose, or not part of our purpose is literally woven into the fabric of our day. You know, nothing is random, nothing is by accident. Everything has been curated and tailored, like coutoured, particularly for us. Everything that we experience is meant to awaken a level of our consciousness and a level of our soul. And then that awakened light and power is then supposed to be channeled and used to share with the world, to channel that light into the world. It's not meant just for the self alone, but it's meant to add, it's meant to give, it's meant to share, it's meant to build and steward and create, right? Our dharma is like our purpose. It's like when we talk about tikkun, it's a combination of our challenges and our struggles and our flaws and our mistakes and our shadow aspects. And then doing that work of healing and reintegrating the fragmented parts of ourselves and coming back to wholeness. And then through that healing, like we activate our gifts and we strengthen those gifts. So when we overcome our fears and our insecurities and our doubts and our own personal motives and we can transcend our ego, it's like then that light can be used to awaken more light in the world and more light in others, and it helps serve our grander purpose, right? It's like the whole reason that we are given light in the first place. We're channels here to share that light and be a lamppost to shine that light out for others. God doesn't light a candle to hide it under a bushel basket. He wants it up on the lamppost to shine and to share that light with all. So whatever we have right now, and it might have to do with your own voice, your voice, you might want to embrace your ability to communicate your ideas and thoughts in an effective way. Maybe you have a way that is approachable or that people can receive, and you have an ability to be persuasive with people because of your unique qualities and your unique personality, right? Not everyone's voice can reach people, right? I'm not for everyone. Some people probably don't want to listen to me talk and they can't hear the wisdom coming from me, but they could hear it coming from someone else, right? So we all have our own unique gifts, and like bemoaning the things that are happening in your life, it puts you in a state of victim consciousness, which is disempowering, and it's fear-based and it's lack-based. Whereas if you embrace this as part of your movie, your story, this is what makes my story an epic tale, right? And you can activate that power within you. I think a great allegory to illustrate this is Harry Potter, right? Like poor little Harry, you know, he was orphaned. He grew up in a terrible house where he lived in an abusive environment, put under the stairs, but everything that happened to him, it was like part of his destiny. And it wasn't like he had a simple life or a simple story, right? Like if you watch the Harry Potters, they go to this wonderful, whimsical school, which is so magical and wondrous. But the fact that they go through the darkness that they go through, it's like they're taking on like an antichrist. And it's very dark, and they go through terrible hardships, and it's like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. But if they hadn't have embraced that, then the darkness would have completely consumed everything. But he embraced his destiny, and the people around him were part of that destiny, and together through love and through courage and through strength, they strengthened their powers and their gifts in order to be able to fight that darkness and fight for good and save goodness, right? Save the innocent, save the light. So we all have a dharma, we all have a purpose in this world, and then we all carry this workbook with us through the incarnations, right? And so, you know, there are things that we live through in other lives that we may or may not have memories of, and those kind of all led into like the toolbox that we have within our soul that's being awakened that we need for this lifetime. Amazing. Cooperation. Amazing. So it's like we have to work together when we're in unity, right? The whole point of the Torah, our work in Tikkun, karma, all of it, it's all giving us the same message. Our souls are one. The universe is one, God is one, and we all came from one seed soul. And we do have individual bodies and we have individual personalities, but the illusion is that we're separate, but we're not separate. And so what ultimately activates our power within us as human souls that would elevate us into the level of angels, right, is the fact that if we could find unity, true unity and cooperation with one another, then the lack of hatred, the lack of division, the lack of separation would obliterate the darkness, and we would rise above our struggle, and our innate powers of Christ consciousness and those abilities would the state of miracles would just be like another natural experience for us. So it's like the challenge is finding a way to have that cooperation, to have that equality working together, right? It's like these these little they look like twins that are like conjoined almost. And it's like, if we join together, when the Israelites were in a state of unity, they were empowered and they could channel miracles. That was just their natural state. That was like their resting rate. They were just in a miraculous state of living. But when they would become divided and fragmented, that's when they would lose their power and they would lose their effectiveness, and they would become afflicted and cursed, and like all these things would happen, and they get attacked by Amalek, and the earth would open up and swallow them in earthquakes, and they would have snakes coming after them, and so they would have chaos. They would open their energy vibrationally up to the darkness, and they'd be attacked by that darkness. The opponent is always there waiting for a reason to be able to attack us, right? The angels and the demons, they're like accountants, and they're like waiting for an in. And when we do acts of negativity, if we do negative actions, then that makes us open and vulnerable to like the darkness attaching and taking our light. It's like getting charged a traffic ticket. Right? But when we do acts of positivity and good and sharing, and we transform ourselves and become more loving, and we do acts of sacrificial love, then that actually puts us in a bubble of protection, and it puts blessing down, and manna falls from the sky, and the cloud will lead us by day and the pillar of fire by night. Right? So love, cooperation, forgiveness, it's so hard to hear that when you have a deep wound that someone has put in you, and I'm here. I know, I understand. I'm feeling it too. I'm struggling currently right now with the same thing. And it's hard for me I'm like grinding my teeth down to powder. So I'm telling myself this too. Oh, the gritted teeth, the white knuckles, but again, even if you don't feel it in your heart, the first step, and this is why I love Gabrielle Bernstein's books. It's like she can take these concepts and reduce them down into very basic ideas, straightforward. Just choose another thought. And her work is rooted in A Course in Miracles. It's a lot like Marianne Williamson's work is rooted from A Course in Miracles, and I've done A Course in Miracles, and I've read Gabrielle Bernstein's books, and I've read a lot of Marianne Williamson stuff. And the first step is just being willing, or even just being willing to be willing. Like, you don't even have to be willing yet. You can be willing to be willing, and that opens the door for the light to start to penetrate the wound, right? Calling in the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, I'd be a liar if I said that I had warm feelings toward this person. I'd be a liar if I even said that I wanted to let go of the grudge. I'd be a liar if I said that they didn't make my blood boil, and that I still wasn't very hurt by this and very triggered by it. But if you can help me find my way through this, to have a different consciousness, to change my heart, to change the way I feel about this, to change the way that I experience this. And if I can separate myself from even being affected by their attack or their darkness, and if it didn't touch me, if it didn't affect me at all, like, how would I see them? If you could help me see this and feel this and see this through different eyes, if you can give me a consciousness of love, if you can show me how to see them honestly, but with love, and not just be walking into the dysfunction, because I think there's a difference. I think that there is a fine line between having a different perspective about someone and forgiving them, but also not being groomed to suffer abuse, right? I think that a lot of us have to unpack that, because I think a lot of us were groomed to just basically tolerate abuse, even by people who maybe didn't even understand that they were idealized and conditioned to pass that on. But in many cases we were. And so I think that it's difficult to untangle processing, I have to recognize abuse and not take abuse and figure out how to draw the line and the boundary there, whilst still going through the journey of forgiveness and seeing things differently without keeping myself in an abusive situation. Like, I think that those are separate. I think that they are not mutually exclusive. I think that you can forgive someone and purge yourself of the bitterness, but I don't think that that means that you have to continue on in abusive situations either, right? And I think that it's very easy to be in a culture that still conditions you to stay in the abuse, to be long-suffering, to not see it as an abuse, like, oh, endlessly give them a million chances, and then you're left in this state of being like treated like a doormat or walked all over, or even in violent situations. I think that we have to recognize and learn how to navigate ourselves through that with discernment. And so that's why I think that there's this rigorous honesty that has to be involved in that. And I think that you have to express the truth and your true feelings about this, while still like praying for a way to resolve it within yourself, while still getting yourself into a functional, healthy, safe situation. So if you need to, get a counselor, get, help out, from a professional, right? Who's been trained to be able to walk someone through this in a healthy way, right? But ultimately we are looking for unity and cooperation and oneness. And remember too, going through difficult relationships, I think that it's worth mentioning that we should not give someone the privileges of a spouse if they're not our spouse. If there's no contract from the government with a signed signature that says you are legally married, then there is no marriage. You can say till the cows come home, we're basically married. And let me tell you something. Try building a business with someone and living in a house with someone and then saying you're basically married until the day they decide that they don't like what you're acting like and kick you out or force you to start your life over, and you don't have any business. You have to find somewhere else to live, and then tell me that you were basically married. Because if you were married and that happened, you would be legally you would be justified in having some sort of like compensation or protection, where you would have a right to your resources. You would have certain rights protected. You would have certain protections in that. That's why people don't want to, let's just live like we're married, but I don't want to put any skin in the game because I don't want to suffer the consequences when I'm ready to leave, right? So there is a very big difference there. And so we should not give someone the privileges and the access to us that you would give to a spouse if they are not your spouse. We need to start contextualizing our relationships properly and accurately. And then I think that untangles a lot of the complications there. All right. Well, I think that is all for tonight. Let's get one more random card. I'm just feeling this. I think this is the vision. Okay. The way that we see things, we need to ask to see things with the eyes of Christ, where we see things with honesty, with realness, but we can still have an agape love, see things through love. But love is sometimes very strong and sometimes very honest, and sometimes love has discipline, and actually not sometimes, always. True love comes with discipline, self-discipline, and it expects that from the other as well. So love, sees the problems of the world and steps up to the plate. It doesn't ignore them and excuse them away, right? But seeing with eyes of love, can see, the honest situation about the at hand, but maybe doesn't look with a critical eye to tear something apart and look at everything with condemnation and judgment. But you can look at things honestly and see what is true and what it is. And I think too, to stay focused on our vision and not get distracted, and keep our consciousness and our awareness on the bigger vision, on the bigger picture, right? Look at your vision. What are you seeing? What glasses do you have on? Do you have glasses of condemnation and judgment and criticism? It's hard not to. It's very hard not to, right? So check your vision. How are you looking at things? How are you seeing things? Are you too closed-minded? Do you need to open up your mind? Have you been too open and too impressionable, right? Are you seeing clearly, or are you seeing through rose-colored glasses or putrid-colored glasses? What is your hermeneutic lens? What is your philosophical ideology through which you are taking in life and then processing how you perceive and think about these things? Right? We live in, I was just talking about this the other day about how, we need to be careful about all these podcasts that we're listening to, because you have someone in your ear, literally in these headphones that are going straight into your brain. And, for hours on end, and, week after week, like, we're listening to this messaging, and even, like, obviously we see that these people have sponsors, right? But what we don't see behind the scenes is that some of these people who are these big talking heads, who are poisoning people's minds with red pill ideology and the manoscope and all of this stuff that's bolstering all this misogyny and hatred and violence, and the podcasts that are trying to, pit women into trad wife life, or super skinny culture, having an effect on everyone's, body image, or even people are just like obsessed with wellness. It's just like, behind the scenes, they're being paid by people to say these things, to drive these points home, to brainwash people hours at a time every week, eventually to get something from them, right? So we need to start asking, where is this ideology coming from? Who's saying these things? Why? Is it possible that they're not authentic, that they're not heartfelt? Or even if they are, what is their ideology? This is why I don't go get readings from anyone. Like, I have before, but I'm like, I didn't really take a lot away from them, because the thing is that I can read for myself. But when you go to a person who is a psychic or a tarot reader, you are sitting in with a person, and you need to know what their values are, what their beliefs are, what their ethics are, what their morals are. Like, what is the ideology through which their lens is that they are interpreting the message to you? So, that's food for thought there. But again, back to the wellness thing. I mean, even something that seems so innocent as wellness, there's like a podcast that I do listen to sometimes, but even sometimes then these chicks get on my nerves, because it's like they've turned into like an echo chamber. One of them didn't have like a speech impediment problem, but the other one like does sometimes, or not a speech impediment, but like she'll say things wrong, like she'll just mispronounce a lot of words. And so then the other ones have started mispronouncing the words the same way that they do. It's like, this is becoming delusional. And then they hawk all these like wellness things. And they're like, this is part of my wellness routine. And it's like, okay, first of all, you need a whole second income of $100,000 a year just to cover all of the supplies for these wellness practices. And this takes 36 hours a day. And by the time you've done all this stuff to yourself, you're probably inflamed and irritated. And then they've talked about themselves like, oh, I've got all these gut problems. Well, yeah, it's probably because you're messing with everything all the time. It's like you're overdoing it. It's like, so again, it's like we need to start using our own critical thinking. There's been a lot of research coming out recently about cognitive atrophy. And like anybody who has common sense can tell you this, that like using AI and relying on all these apps to like keep up with yourself and keep up with all these things, it's like you're not doing your own organizing and planning and thinking and research and reading anymore. You're just asking something to tell you back what it says. Oh, here, can you do this for me? And then it's just going to say some stuff. And it's causing people to have brain damage. And not only are the children that are growing up in front of all these screens, they're growing up with brain damage, but the people who already were able to cognitively function are starting to have cognitive atrophy. So it's a fact. And then also like somebody literally like was trying to expose AI the other day. A lot of people are. They're trying to like come out and show people like, hey, this is insidious. It's not even a useful tool. Like don't use it at all. So this guy was proving that AI lies and they're actually inaccurate, but they'll just straight up lie. And he was like talking to the AI agent and he was like, can you set a timer for me while I go run so you can time my mile? And it was like, yeah, I can totally do that for you. And it starts to go off and like all in this like endless conversation. The guy interrupts it and he's like, well, actually, like this guy here, like watch this video. And the guy in the video, he's like, do you know who this guy is? And the AI named the guy. And and the guy, the video that the guy was showing the AI, he's like, watch this video of this man. The man was actually the creator of the very AI that he was talking to. And the creator of the AI in the video was like, well, yeah, I mean, this thing can't function with like just like a timer or whatever. And I'm thinking like, well, that seems like it would be like the easiest thing to make it do, but whatever. And so the creator of the AI is sitting there saying, yeah, it's not like you can't use it for a timer. And so the AI is like, no, I can time something. Like I don't like this guy is just inaccurate or whatever. I can time your mile. And the human being running the test was like, do you know who this is? And he's like, he's the creator, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yes, he created you. And he's like, well, I mean, he's not my creator, but like, yeah, like he's my like programmer or whatever. And he was like, well, no, he's your creator. And he, the creator who programmed you, who created you as a model, has said outright that they did not make being a timer part of your functioning process. And he was like, well, I mean, I guess you could say that, but it's not really accurate and I can set a timer for you. And so the guy's like, okay, fine. We'll set a timer. I'm going to go on a run now. Start your timer. And he's like, okay, I'm starting a timer. I'm going to time your run. And so the guy's like, okay, start your timer now. I'm going on a run. Start it now. So the guy's like, okay, the timer's starting. And so the guy waits literally 2-3 seconds. And he's like, okay, I'm back from my run. I ran a mile. How fast was it? And he goes, great, awesome. You should be really proud of yourself. Your mile was 7 minutes, 28 seconds. The guy didn't run. He didn't need like just your metrics on the health metrics app on your phone can clock how many miles you've gone. So this AI is like supposedly timing them on his mile, but the guy didn't go anywhere and he only waited like 2 seconds. And then he was like, okay, I'm back. And the timer apparently was like, yeah, you've run 7.5 minutes. It's like people are asking AI for life advice. If I were dating a guy and he told me, yeah, I was talking to my AI about you and we were discussing this situation and this issue. And, you know, I just think, I'd be like, you don't think at all. You asked your robot to tell you. And I can't be with someone who's going to discuss my life and try to make choices to steer our life from a robot, from a computer, right? Who doesn't have a living worry, he doesn't have a body, he doesn't have a soul, has no experience in life. He's just a robot who's doing internet searches, or even that. A lot of times people have caught their AI because they're like, where did you get that information? I want to cross-reference it. What study did that come from? And the AI finally comes out and says, there was no study. It just sounded like something a human would say. So all of this to say, hold on to your own thought. You know, hold possession of yourself, hold sovereignty over yourself, ask questions, question your own perspective, but definitely question what people are trying to imprint and implant in your mind, and where they're coming from and why, right? It's like, now more than ever, we need sharp discernment and really strong intuitive muscles, and our own sense of identity and wisdom and understanding more than ever. But yeah, watch the power of your words this week and embrace the situations you find yourself in, taking ownership of them so that you're never feeling like you've been victimized, but that every opportunity is like an obstacle course that is going to allow you to win a ribbon or a trophy that gets you a promotion into the next level, right? And all of it is playing in to your dharma and your destiny. And if we can find, what the whole point is, that we can become vessels of sharing the light. And when we have both understanding of the secrets of, the Torah, and cooperation and unity, and we're vessels of sharing, and we're beacons of light and love, not in an airy-fairy woo-woo sense of denial, but real demonstrative love, the way that Jesus showed us, then that will unlock miracles. It will unlock miracles. All right. Well, that is all for tonight. We will be back together tomorrow, God willing, for our weekly anchor message, where we will be getting our spiritual assignments for the week. We'll be a little bit more, honed in on, more specifics. Until then, may peace be with you. Happy Easter. He has risen. All right, ciao.